Yes, sir. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy D Nolly, aka Don Squally, and we are out here on the drag strip in this fiery Nissan 370Z. You guys may remember this one from the Nissan drag race video. Actually built this one up off camera. I'm starting to think I probably should have done a full build on this one. Before today's video, you guys know how we do it. If you can tell from the title, we're trying something a little different. One thing we're not doing different is getting into accidents right at the beginning of these videos. It's pretty much a signature, especially with the AI. But if you guys can see from the title of today's video, we're getting into something a little bit different, man. And this one request, I'm not gonna lie, kind of has me intrigued. Now, Ain't Yo Chicken Bake on YouTube wants to see either an Olds 442 Rally or a Chrysler 300 sleeper. Unfortunately, there is no Chrysler 300 in Forza Horizon 4, which would have been the build that I would have taken care of on this one. But I'm thinking the Olds 442 Rally build, this could be interesting. Now, we have done a couple Oldsmobiles on the channel in the past. Actually, my very first car that I owned, was a Chevy Cavalier, but unfortunately, that thing was a piece of crap. I couldn't actually get it legally registered on the road. But my first legal car that I owned was an Oldsmobile Intrigue. So I did kind of develop a soft spot for the older Oldsmobiles. And then, of course, GM decided to discontinue the Oldsmobiles. And that's when I switched from the Olds to the Chevy Impala. And then, obviously, from GM, now I'm a big Nissan guy. But for today's video, I think doing an off-road / rally build with this car could be a little bit interesting. It's a classic, so we might touch a few hearts out there, shall we say. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys are a fan of the Olds 442. Now, one of the great things that I do like about doing builds like this that aren't YouTuber specific is that I kind of get to think outside the box. Kind of put my own little touch on things. Sometimes it turns out good. Other times, I get a little too carried away. We're going to see where this one takes us today. So first things first, obviously engine swaps. I'm thinking this old 1969 motor, as legendary as it may be, 7.5 liter it looks like there. I'm thinking we might have to go ahead and swap in something a little newer. Now, I'm not too keen on the V12, V10 swaps. That's not practical for a car like this. But the 6.2 liter V8 right here, as you can see, is actually giving us less power, less RPM. You know what? I guess we're just going to go ahead and build the stock motor on this one. We are going to leave it rear-wheel drive because I think an all-wheel drive system on this car just wouldn't make sense. And what should we do? Supercharge or turbo this big old V8 here? Normally for a V8 like this, I am against turbocharging it. So I think a supercharger is going to be the most ideal thing for this car. We're not going to get too much turbo lag. Should be nice and gradual up to the top of the RPM range here. Now, front end and spoilers, this is kind of where we get to put our own little touch on the car, and I was wishing there would be a few more options here. I'm going to go with the wingless. Kind of reminds me of the old Chevelles there, which, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably built on the same platform as the Chevelles 442s. And now the hood. I think for a rally build here or an off-road build, the scoops actually look the best. These other hoods are more for drag builds and hot rod builds and stuff like that. For an off-road build, I think we're going to throw on those hood scoops. Fun fact, actually, my 98 Oldsmobile Intrigue, I actually put the Canadian Tire Special hood scoops on there. Man. There was, those were different times, ladies and gentlemen, different times where I definitely didn't know what made a car look good. And, when Canadian Tires right down the road, you only have a few bucks to spend. and you know, you're a teenager, these budget mods start to look somewhat appealing. But nowadays, well, if you guys are on my other channel, youtube.com/Denali, you will know that I have a G35 that actually has 100% functional hood vents on it. Yeah, so go ahead and check that out. Once this video is done, we're going to finish this video real quick. So I'm just going to skim through some wheel options here, let you guys know when I find something that I like. Now, the thing about a lot of these wheels with an older car like this, they don't necessarily fit the style of the vehicle, but I did decide to go with these speed lines here. If you see, like, kind of from the side, they almost look like Steelies, and then you look in the center and there's like a nice 5-spoke pattern there. So I think these are going to be nice. I do like the lettering on the inside of the dish there, but we're definitely going to have to make these a little bit bigger. I'm going to go with a 17 since this is still going to be off-road / rally build. Maybe we'll do an 18 on the back, kind of stagger it up a little bit. And of course, we get to deal with this ugly hovercraft fitment. So we're just going to go ahead. I don't know what Forza is making this, setting this up as. We're just doing spacers or full axle swaps. Upgrade rear track width, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to consider them spacers since that's the easiest way to do it in the real world. Not necessarily the safest, but definitely the easiest. Race clutch, I'm going to upgrade everything here. This stuff still being dated in '69 is probably not going to be suitable for this build, so we're going to go ahead and upgrade everything. Brakes, again, I don't think brakes from 1969 are going to be sufficient for what we're going to need this car to do. And of course, the rally springs and dampers. Just lifting this thing up a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but I do think that's going to make this car more functional for off-road situations. Now, I was kind of hoping it was going to be winter for this build because it would this build would be somewhat practical, but I think normally, because we're doing road cars in builds, we normally keep them on the road, but because this is a rally build, we can probably explore some dirt roads a little bit more, which is not something that I ever do when I'm building road cars, that's for sure. So we're gonna fully max this thing out. Because we do have the stock engine, I feel like this thing is going to need as much help as it can get. Even though we have the supercharger on there, I still think just it's an old motor. The power to displacement ratio back then was definitely not what it is today. So we're going to go ahead and max this one out and see the number that we come up with. 547 kilowatts. Which equates to right around 730 horsepower. So we're going to go ahead and install this setup to the current car, 80 grand. Not too bad for an old classic car like this. And of course, we are going to jump into the tuning section. Now, I'm not really sure where our gearing ratio is going to be. To be honest, it looks actually perfect where it is. Alignment, I want to be squared up all the way since this is going to be a off-road build. Anti-roll bars, I want to stiffen up a little bit. That way when we do take it onto the street, it's not going to have quite as much body roll as it might is if it was set up for full off-road. Springs, as you can see, soft. Ride height as high as it can go. I'm leaving that there. Of course, the brakes, I like to add a little bit more braking power, especially with a big heavy car like this. And the differential, we're going to set this up to get squirrely. Just for fun, done squirrely up in this biatch. So now that we got all of that out of the way, what I'm thinking that we can do is jump into the designs and paints. This is where we're really going to tie everything together. So we're going to jump into the paint car section real quick. Now, this white with the gold stripe, as classic as it may be, I'm going to skim through a couple of different color options here and try to see if I can find something that's a little bit more modern that still pays homage to the original design. And I gotta say, after going through a couple of different options, most certainly the red paint on this car is definitely going to be the way to go. Now I'm going to leave the wheels black. let's see, if we paint them, do we still get to keep our tire? Oh, we do still get to keep the lettering. But I mean, on a car like this, what color are you really going to go with other than black? I mean, I guess we can go with a polished finish. See how that turns out with the chrome. Ooh, I mean, if this was a street build, the chrome would be appropriate, but I think because it's an off-road build, we're going to stick with the black paint here. And, of course, now, does this look off-roadish? I think it looks somewhat rugged, mainly due to the ride height. But I think this thing deserves some racing stripes. So I'm going to go ahead and install those right now. Nothing too crazy, just 2 black stripes like you typically see on a muscle car from GM from this era. I was big into the Chevelles, the 442 SS. I was working at a auto garage doing co-op in high school, and this guy had a mint 442, and the thing was just an absolute monster. Really, truly put me on to muscle cars, and that's why I was a GM fanboy for quite a while. And then I just realized that the modern GMs they're falling behind when it comes to power to weight. So I'm going to go ahead and add these black racing stripes on here, both sides. And I think that is going to look nice. Now, one of the things about these stripes, typically they don't run down the front and back of the car. So those are actually ending perfectly. I like the way that the hood still goes down a little bit, but the paint actually stops before it does. That's really nice. And, of course, the back, you know what? I guess we can bring those back ones down just to finish it off at the rear here. And now this thing is looking pretty sweet, but one thing that I do want to do is just drop a black stripe along the bottom side of this car here in between the wheel wells. Nothing too serious, but I do think it kind of finishes up the look right there. And we're going to install that to the opposite side. And I think we're ready to hit the road with this thing. Now, one thing that I'm truly interested in seeing is exactly how this engine performs and how it puts the power down. But I am going to set my sights for this area right here because it looks to be, you know, pretty impressive with a lot of off-road trails. Actually, how far is that? Oh, it's not too far. We can do a little bit of a road test. And once we get to the off-road section, we're going to go ahead and see how this thing does off-road. Now, right off of the bat, there is no shortage of power with this vehicle. Now, that's one thing about V8s is once you start adding some aftermarket components, especially on an older car like this, you really wake it up. The only problem with them really is that from factory, a lot of these old V8s, you have just massive displacement. This is 7.5. And I'm pretty sure that the initial horsepower of this car, I don't know, 350 horsepower maybe, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, and we're getting off-road now, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that was really the only problem, whereas now you're getting like, you know, 4-cylinder turbo cars that are coming out factory with 300 horsepower, little V6s with like over 300 horsepower, so it's just the technology wasn't there. We are going to ram the gate here, and this looks like the perfect place for an off-road rally build to be tested. Now, there's quite a bit of AI in here. I like to do my test drives off-road just because, you know, a lot of people, when they see a mofo online doing his thing, trying to take some pictures, tend to get into the shot, but that's okay, that's okay. So yeah, we're gonna head over to this area over here, these trails. And now, this does have rally tires, so it should handle quite well, which it actually does. I was expecting the back end to be swinging around all over the place, but whoa, hitting some jumps here. Okay, I need to turn off this GPS real quick. We're here, we found it. And just concentrate on the drive. Now, does this thing look like a complete off-road build? I tried not to go with my typical off-road style where, you know, I do like a matte green or something like that, try to army it up, whatever. Now, this thing does look still like a street car. If you were to adjust the suspension and lower it a little bit, you know, this thing would still look really nice. But as you can see, we're beating this one up just a little bit, and I'm not gonna lie, it's taking it quite well. Now let's hit a little bit of jumps here. The suspension is really nice. It doesn't bounce at all. Typically when you have stiff suspension and you're going off-road, it bounces around a lot and the tires don't actually touch the ground. But it's taking everything really nice up to the top of the quarry here. I mean, it's handling it almost too good. Like, there's really nothing exciting to talk about right now. It's literally just driving and it's like, oh yeah, what? We're driving down a dirt road. No big deal. There's no, like, I don't have to try to control it at all. To be honest, it's pretty uneventful. I'm not gonna lie. And which I guess is a good thing, which means that the build is a success. Oh, going into the walls here. Good thing we got damage off on this thing. Those rocks probably would have beaten the snot out of this thing. So yeah, really, like, if you want to do an off-road build and feel like Dukes of Hazzard real quick, I mean, this is the way to go. Now, I do feel like I'm driving an older Chevelle just because of this back end. Like I say, I'm almost confident that this car and the Chevelle, Chevy SS, pretty sure that they are all based on the same platform. Get into the mud a little bit. You can hear the rocks hitting the underside of the car. Now this is a cool build, man. I am liking this. But I feel like I've been yammering on forever about this. I feel like this test drive is getting somewhat long. So what I think I'm going to do is just pull off to the side here, take a little screenshot for the thumbnail. Now typically I'd clean the paint on this car, but I think we're going to leave it a little bit dirty. Lots of plant matter here. Lots of plant matter. Maybe we'll exit and find a better parking spot. But I'm thinking we're probably going to put an end to this video as we usually do around this time. Mainly because I just run out of things to say, and I feel like if I kept talking like this for much longer, I just might lose my voice. And I do need it for work, as well as my other YouTube channel. I still have plenty of other YouTube videos to make for the other YouTube channel. If you guys are not subscribed to that, link for that will be down in the description. I always say the comment section. But with that being said, I'm your boy D Nolly, aka Don Squally. I just want to say thank you guys for watching, man. All you guys who are constantly commenting and leaving your requests. I really wish that I could do all of your requests, but I mean, with YouTube's algorithm, the view count just tends to go down. They don't seem to promote the videos quite as much as when I'm uploading every single day, which is what I used to do. But nonetheless, we're going to try to get to as many as we can, so don't forget to let me know what you guys want to see down in the comment section. And with that being said, I'm going to put an end to this one. As always, I am your boy D Nolly, aka Don Squally, and we're going to catch y'all mo-fo-ho-hos at the next one, man. Peace. Cute outro. Don't die. Oh shit, where you going, bro? Don't be creeping on my friend. Don't be creeping on my friend. You ain't your homie. Oh, nut shot. Nut shot. Oh, buddy. Go. And your boy, man. Get him out of here. Oh, fucking. Oh, my God.